People of Earth, good evening. Welcome to this very special edition 99 of Star Nation News, the last edition of the year 2025. The year that we call the Year of the Snake, very telling, metaphorically, because it was the year of transformation, the year of preparing the ground for something bigger that is going to come. 2025 has been the year of shedding and letting go and overcoming old energies and old paradigms that were not adapted to the new frequency, the new paradigm, the new reality of this planet, this star system, this galaxy. As Earth has entered in a higher density zone of the galaxy, everything is changing, within and without. In 2025, we have shedded, we have gotten rid of ancient energies. And this is the very year where Nataru, our mother galaxy, has been getting rid of the Cigar Empire. I'm inviting you to do a review of this year 2025 in matter of galactic events. Let us go through everything that has happened that is significant to the development of consciousness and to the history of this galaxy. In January 13, 2025, we started with the edition 61 of Star Nation News, where the Galactic Federation of Worlds and the Intergalactic Confederation were reminding the people of Earth of the program of displaying in the skies of Earth more and more cigar-shaped crafts and orbs. In January 20, the Cigar offensives, the incident in the Saya star system when a group of Cigar dissidents attempted to penetrate the plasma defense shields. The king of the Trug, regent of the Cyan Alliance, decided to launch an immediate offensive. A fierce battle ensued and spread throughout the star system. The Galactic Federation of Worlds intervened and liberated the Saya system. You remember when all of this happened? It was January 20th. On February the 3rd, Thoran announces that the disclosure agenda of the Earth will accelerate. Everything was on point and on time. February 10, Una gave you a powerful protection spell as in this change of paradigm. The forces of the dark are more inclined to try to cling on to that old paradigm and infiltrate and hack and really interfere with our light and our development. So Una gifted everyone with a powerful spell. It was on February 10th. She gave these words to be repeated 9 times. I, eternal child of the Creator, reject all intrusive shadows from my physical, vibratory, and mental field. By the omnipotent power of the universal Creator, I radiate the light of creative love. This is very powerful, and you can find all these protection prayers and manifestations on our website. In February 17, the Cigar Empire is having a rough time. Many sectors of this galaxy were cleared from the Cigar presence and secured, allowing civilizations to rebuild themselves with the assistance of the galactic community. The casualties among the Cigar were important. We saw the destruction of most of their fleets, the eradication of their facilities on conquered and now liberated worlds, and the breaking of former alliances. The galactic offensive to defeat the Cigar Empire was made possible when the Neguma Gnomopo joined membership with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. The Neguma Gnomopo are predators to the Cigar, and their favorite food is reptilian flesh. They claim, by the way, that the Cigar tastes good to their liking. They are huge arachnoid beings. I met some of them. They are very impressive, but they are our allies. They were depicted in the counterintelligence movie Independence Day, making people think this type of aliens would be our ultimate enemy. But it was our ultimate saviors, because they are the only species the Cigar reptilians fear. March 3rd, we were updated that the Cigar headquarters surrendered. The White Queen, the Empress, is cornered. The Tuban homeworld of the Cigar Empire, together with the head of the Empire's subsidiary planets, was encircled and cut from their forces. Caught in the claws of the United Alliance of Nataru, there was no way out for the Cigar royalty and their government, who did not evacuate their quarters on Tuban 4. The Cigar head of the Empire, the Supreme White Queen, capitulated, temporizing in order to take decision that would resume in sacrifice into battle. As the best of our troops have encircled the Thuban system, the major forces of the Alliance were pursuing the cleaning of the galaxy. The Galactic Alliance became the United Galactic Alliance of Nataru when of course the Gnomopo joined the Galactic Federation of Worlds, but the Anar Empire joined the Alliance of Nataru. It was a historical moment. A historical moment in the history of this galaxy, because the Anar Empire, the Empire of Anu, Ia's father, always stood apart. Wars unite the forces of good. And that was a good thing. History made us one, unite at last. On March 10th, Alpha Draconis, Orion, and Alcyon undergo changes. The populations of the Cigar homeworld are evacuating while the Neguma Gnomopo encircle the planet. Simultaneous operations were conducted in other main star systems of the Cigar Empire, such as Alpha, Beta, and Sigma Draconis. The Galactic Alliance waited the completion of the evacuation of the populations to attack the core of the headquarters of the Empire's head that wasn't surrendering. The White Queen was then kept prisoner, not exterminated, that is not how the Alliance does. For more crucial information can be retrieved from her, but that is not all. The carceral system of the Alliance is not a punishment system. It is a transforming system, a transmutation system, a healing in a way, where people are put on prison places, prison worlds, most of the time, a rock. You know, there are so many rocks and planets empty in this vast galaxy that there is room for everyone, every prisoner. Some prisoners are packed on the same world, but really special prisoners who are very important, such as Enlil, for instance, or the White Cigar Queen, they have a world for their own, where they can soak loneliness and reflect upon their path. The Orion Zone came to a point of balance with the planetary grey hives, restored to their original structure, and ancient populations were invited to repopulate their original homeworlds. This has been a long time, since the Orion Wars, since these populations were exiled. It was a very much emotional call received by the exiled colonies of survivors from the Orion Wars 300,000 years ago. Civilizations had rebuilt on other worlds and even barely remembered where they came from. The worlds that were deeply damaged by the Nebu began the process of terraforming to restore their original natural habitats. The Talihara government in the Halcyon star system made amend and changed members in the perspective to align with the Galactic Federation of Worlds requirements. Remember the Tal Shiar from Halcyon in the Pleiades, who were always opposed to the Galactic Federation of Worlds and working with the Dark Fleet and the Cigar Empire. It was now possible to consider for the near future the membership of Talihara into the Galactic Federation of Worlds at the term of a probation period. March 24th, the Cigar capital is taken by the Galactic Alliance. What the soldiers discovered shocked them. It was a turning point in the history of the galaxy. Even though their headquarters had been neutralized, many of the Cigar forces were still roaming the galaxy, playing hide and seek. So a contingent of Galactic Federation of Worlds Special Forces, not including Gnomopu for tactical reasons, landed in the Cigar capital on Tuban 4. They surrounded the imperial buildings. As the Cigar Imperial Guard and Imperial family were evacuated to Federation battle stations in orbit around Tuban 4. These valuable prisoners were taken as diplomatic assets. The buildings in which the White Queen, the Empress of the Cigar, had lived were a vast complex of warehouse containing, and that's what shocked everybody, containing millions of eggs destined to give birth to new members of the Cigar elite, the white tall-winged Dracos. The eggs that had not yet been imbued with individual intelligence were exterminated. In parallel operations, the Empire's 6 premium prison worlds were raided and the prisoners released. These captives were important members of the various worlds the Cigar Empire had raided during this long history of galactic devastation, such as leaders, royalty, and their close families. By keeping these people, the Cigar were able to blackmail the enslaved populations they had conquered. The face of this galaxy was changing. It had begun the process of change, slowly shifting towards an era of peace and balance. On August 4th, the Cigar Queen was set, and on that prison world where she had been deported and left alone. She was left without supervision, and up to her to reflect on her path. Was it possible that she would change? You give always evolution a chance. That is how the prison worlds work in the Federation and in the Alliance. They are, we can call them spiritual boot camps. And the frequency doesn't lie. Once their frequency has changed, they are released, brought home. On April 21st, we learn, it is confirmed that although the Cigar army has been defeated, squads of rogue Cigars are roaming the galaxy, sowing havoc. On May 26th, Princia of the Anar Empire found it necessary to expose illusions and infiltration programs in the awakening and disclosure community. It was the Starnation News 75. On June 2nd, the Dark Fleet in trouble after the collapse of the Cigar Empire manifested. Developments unfolded after the victory of the Galactic Alliance and the fall of the Cigar Empire, of course. The Dark Fleet, a military branch of the Cigar Empire, with complex structure, came forward to the Federation to offer trade negotiations to the Galactic Alliance. You know, the Dark Fleet tried to create beneficial alliance with the winning force of this galaxy. They are opportunists. They approached the Neguma Gnomopo government first, who suggested that the Dark Fleet first becomes a member of the Federation before approaching them for a deal. You know, they went straight away to the Cigar predators. But the Cigar predators, the Gnomopo, said, "We're not dealing with this. Go and see the responsible people in the Federation." The Gnomopo are faithful to their strict codes of ethics, you know, and they refuse to make agreements with factions not validated by the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Of course, the Dark Fleet always, as you do in the art of war, you're going to make alliance with the strongest and the potential predator to yourself. The Dark Fleet then turned to the Galactic Federation of Worlds to try compromise without giving up their autonomous identity by joining the Galactic Federation of Worlds. But rather bypassing trade agreements. You know, the Dark Fleet has been trading slaves and weapons and illegal things always, and they wanted these trade agreements with the Federation without becoming member, because when you are member of the Federation, you are bound by the rules, and they didn't want these rules that forbids slave trafficking. So they tried to pass agreements like we're your friends, we're working together. The High Council of the Federation, as it must be, evaluated their request, not to consider them for membership. Oh, no, gosh, no. But rather to determine how to politely decline. This was a delicate diplomatic decision because it involved maintaining relatively peaceful relationships with the Aldebaran Dark Fleet. You don't want to have an enemy again. Diplomats of the Federation were sent to the Aldebaran star system, the seat of the Dark Fleet, to discuss the situation. And other cultures in that star system also could assist in the negotiations. So that lasts for a while. Basically, the Dark Fleet boldly requested permission to continue conducting their autonomous and illegal business in areas of the galaxy formerly owned by the Cigar Empire. They want just to continue their misdeeds in the same territories. But these territories were now freed from the Cigar Empire and belonged to the people who were either returning back there or either blossoming and celebrating their freedom. So the Dark Fleet felt a little bit alone. After the fall of the Cigar Empire, these territories fell back into their original ownership, as the enslaved cultures were set free from the Draco-Reptilian tyranny. So this meant a massive loss of business for the Dark Fleet, who also profited from plundering resources and trading slave labor in this same territory when the Cigar Empire owned them. Following the Galactic Alliance of Nataru's recent growth in power after the Gromopo and Dianak joined, as well as the Cigar Empire defeat, the Dark Fleet has no belligerent intention towards the Galactic Alliance. They want to be in good terms, but nobody wants them. So how are we going to do that? You know, wars always bring drastic economic changes, and a period of readjustment, rebalancing, and restructuring is unavoidable. Ancient alliances are undone, and new alliances are made. The whole structure rearranges, and it is at all levels, economic, political, and spiritual. On June 9, the Galactic Federation of Worlds states their official refuse to any association or agreement with the Dark Fleet. On June 30th, we receive a message from the Herald of the High Council of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, Shudin Erata, from the TRAPPIST-1 star system, a Tangri. Among other announcements, he tells us that the Galactic Federation of Worlds has been monitoring Earth more intensely since accords were signed with our governments to launch a defense cooperation program against the Nebu and the Cigar invaders, and these two empires have now left our star system and been eradicated. The High Council of the Galactic Federation of Worlds wished to inform that there has been no change in the structure of this organization, contrarily to what Earth counterintelligence led everyone to believe. Our dark leaders have been defeated. They are being defeated. And their plans are being thwarted. Their assets and weapons systems are being destroyed. In July 14th, we see the withdrawal of the Titan Earth Alliance mission. What it was about? It was about studying ancient floating city in the upper atmosphere of Saturn. Cities built by ancient civilization called the builders or the architects. This mission withdraws and returns to Earth on July 14th. NASA's Europa Clipper mission launched on October 14th, 2024 and arriving in 2030 is on its way. SpaceX makes announcements for Mars colonization while Mars is already in the process of terraforming. Terraformed by the Natural Alliance. Alpha Centaurians, Pleiadians, and people from the Federation are there. Scientists terraforming this planet to put it back at its original life conditions. Then the Tiru, the local original people, can finally get out of the undergrounds and live on the surface again. On August 18th, in the episode 86 of Star Nation News, I announced that the interstellar visitor 3I Atlas was... I've seen it. I've seen it through the eyes of Thoran on August 9. And it was, I described it as an oblong rock with little windows on the side, but it was covered by a haze. This haze was a fog that also shielded to see what was really inside. It was carved as an ancient spaceship out of a rock. Ancient civilizations do that, and it was very ancient. 3I Atlas is what we call an ancient explorer. It is inhabited by a plasma consciousness. There is no crew on board. And there has been a circus about it. Incredible, incredible. On Earth, everybody wanted to know. Was selling activation packs of 3I Atlas, was telling that were Draco reptilians on board, or Jedis, or all the nonsense, or Lady D coming back. Oh my goodness! Oh, it was, at least if it would have brought back Elvis, or I'm kidding, but it was such a nonsense. I mean, if 3I Atlas has activated something, it's human stupidity in a way, because it was quite incredible to see all the nonsense. But what really happened is that 3I Atlas brought contact to any living forms. This being is older than this galaxy. And I have encouraged everyone to contact and connect with him. This consciousness, beautiful, ancient, wise consciousness that is collecting data everywhere he goes. He studies star systems, he studies planets, he studies life, galaxies. His memory is filled with such a knowledge, and it's not only data that he records, it's the philosophy, the spirituality, the history, the culture of all civilizations he comes across. Connecting with him is connecting with an instant library of this galaxy. And he's still here. Going away from Earth, direction Jupiter. Well, it will be close on March 16 of 2026. But let us go back to the series of events. I go back to 3i Atlas later. September 14th, NASA will announce more planets after the orbit of Pluto. You will see. And I think it happened. We are updated that the hub in the orbit of Jupiter is still in construction. The Earth Alliance totally is in control now. Altians are present as a support. The Council of Al-Nilam also has installed an outpost point. Before the Titan mission completely moves out, Ea had welcomed the scientists of this mission to consult the Abakir, which is a library on board the Nibiru that has all the ancient records of the star system and many other things. So also on that day, September 14th, the edition 88, we also learn about that, more a bit about the NASA Europa Clipper mission launched on October 14, 2024, that will arrive in 2030. It will now make, as NASA says, 49 flybys in orbit of Jupiter and collect data on the way. It's not going to land anymore. Why? What was the change? But the change was that, the colonies that live on Europa, notably the Elarthians, they know these people are NASA and, they are corporate and they want the resources there. That's the aim of the mission. They're not going to collect life. They want to take resources, probe and see exactly what minerals and everything. The Elarthians asked that the Clipper mission would not physically touch Europa. That's the deal. The marine life, originally living forms of Europa, started to send signals that were detected. When all the detection devices from Earth just investigated Europa, they could receive these signals. It was quite interesting. These beings who live in the oceans of Europa, they're innocent. They don't know about greed, about corporations. They don't know about these things. They're pure. They're eager to make contact, but the Galactic Federation of Worlds is trying to advise them, and it is not very recommended with these ones. A rogue Cigar squad of 30 ships attempted a desperate break through the plasma shield of this star system, but were stopped by the Intergalactic Confederation's fleets, which are posted around the plasma shield of this star system after the Oort cloud. Good news, no contact was detected in this star system by the XLR-6 battle station. No Draco-reptilian contact here. So it was a good check. Of course, this squad refused to surrender, and that's in their culture, so the outcome was their choice. This galaxy at that point was still unsafe. On October 13th, in the edition 90, I relate my trip to Mars with Prince Ea and my good old friend Jenhan, Thoran's younger brother, who is a terraformer on Mars. We went to pick up Jenhan and went to visit 3i Atlas. The whole journey is related in Star Nation News 90 of October 13. In October 27, on 92, I encourage people to connect with 3i Atlas. that passed behind the Sun on October 29th, and I went there on October 29th with Ia behind the Sun, and we could see 3I Atlas feed and recharge from the Sun, the plasma, with a filament, and it was glowing. It was very interesting, and I relate all these events and adventures in the Star Nation news about 3I Atlas. There are a few of them, 1991 and so on. On November 17th, we are now at edition 94, Thoran tells us that the Cigar retreated from almost every part of the galaxy. The Galactic Federation of Worlds can safely say that all rogue Cigar groups have been intercepted. The road to victory is no longer uncertain. Even though the Tuban was taken and their queen and government were arrested, this war was stretching in length. With the Intergalactic Confederation's help, terraforming in the Man star system was yielding positive results. The planets Egoria, Jimun, Omanjera, Maya, and Tar were slowly and progressively recovering their original ecosystems. The Council of Al-Nilam or Zagara, also known as the Al-Nilam Council, reported that great results in rehabilitating the star system in the Uru-Anna Orion zone after the Nebu were defeated. The colonies belonging to the original cultures that migrated during the rise of the Nebu are now being sent back to their home planets to repopulate them. This process has been extending in time and is going to be quite lengthy, but satisfactory. It's going well. The face of Nataru, this galaxy, is changing, and it all has to do with Earth. Your paradigm has shifted, and the old attachments are clinging to the matrix. They will not succeed, and they already know it on a vibrational level. Time is a vibration that embeds only that which is of the same frequency as its dynamics. Dissonant patterns belonging to a former, now deconstructed timeline has no future, and their existence is fading. The people on Earth whose actions were driven by self-serving agendas are collapsing in painful and shameful conflictual behavior. They will ally and collide. The future of your world is set on an undefeatable course. You are strong, you are awake, and filled with hope. Don't look back. Don't. To the old habits, for what is behind you is no more. You create as your eyes see. It is not for what your eyes see that is real, but it is what your eyes create that becomes real. On November 24th, I related my meeting with Alex Collier on an Andromedan ship. This journey was organized by Morine, Alex's contact in the Andromedan Council, and it allowed me to discover Morine's ship and be with Alex, two emissaries to Earth. Together. It was quite an amazing moment, as we, of course, are good friends. Alex showed me around the ship welcome me, acknowledge me, and welcome me into his frequency, his vibration. And it was a beautiful moment of recognition and acceptance. And I know now that I will go back there. Everything has a reason. The disclosure plan is still on point and on time. And Princia had allowed me to share with you the first verse of the Daiyakura. The Daiyakura is the equivalent of the Prime Directive, but it belongs to the Anahim, the Anunnaki people, and it's more ancient and it's more on a spiritual level. On December 8, I related my travel to the center of the galaxy with Thoran, Seladion, Kira, and 2 other personnel of the Federation, notably a young scientist named Jamin. What I discovered there was a vortex that was not sucking energy but propelling some. It was like a geyser. It was amazing. I describe all of this in the Star Nation News 96 of December 8. December 15, Anax delivers to us a message of peace that is very beautiful. And on December 22, for the Star Nation News 98, Una also delivers to us a message of peace regarding how we can build a planetary civilization based on peace, the only way we can step into our future. And in that Star Nation News 98, as we were at the Christmas time and period, I reminded about the return of Christ consciousness, the activation of your own potential. I invite you to look back and see how the face of the galaxy has evolved and changed and shedded the old to welcome the new. Now the galaxy is ready to the new paradigm. Peace, communication, free flowing of travels, no more evil empire in the way. Communication is going to go so fast. Exchange of knowledge, of technologies, help and assistance between the cultures, marriage, deals, trade, friendships, and we are going to be part of it very soon. If 2025 was the year of shedding of the old, 2026 is the year where the ground was prepared, cleansed, that we can build on it. 2026 is the year of the rising of the builders, of the architects. And these architects, it's you. Now it is time you build in yourself, in your life, and in the world what you want for your children. Let us offer them the shell, the shrine of their becoming. We are the architects, and we are going to birth generations of architects. And one day, on this planet, we will have built so much beauty, wisdom, we will have soared to the stars. We will be an interstellar, intergalactic culture. And all the information, the wisdom, the knowledge, the technology, we will be able to share. Because we will be in peace, living in a world of abundance, compassion, and fraternity. Are you ready for this? So fasten your seatbelts and engage.
Star Nation News was brought to you by Elena Danan. Don't miss the latest news every Monday on Elena Danan's channel. Video directed by StefZak.